So today I start my project to convert this fourth row of 16-foot cattle panels. There's 4 of them, and it's the 4th set from left to right. And that 4th set is going to be a conversion that I can quickly put up and bring down, a form of a greenhouse. And I've got the structure mostly there, and I was trying to determine, how do I keep the majority of these varieties that do not do very good in the cold, how do I keep them alive without die back to the ground? Because last year I had plants and I tried all kinds of things, heat cables, and covered them and all that kind of stuff, put them in a corner of a fence so the wind wouldn't get them as much. But anyway, I had dieback on 8 of the 10, or was it 7 of the 9? Anyway, I had dieback on the majority of them all the way to the roots, and it come up from the ground, which severely delayed the fruit set and set them back quite a bit. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to create an existing structure that can keep all these alive, that'll be easy to move into and that sort of thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these EMTs that I repurposed from a long time ago here, and I'm going to create a structure overhead. I've already got plastic, I've already got shade cloth, and I'm going to get a few rain barrels, and I'll just kind of carry it along as I go. Hopefully it'll be clearer, but my intent is to be able to put it up real quick, take it down real quick, within one day, all of it. So after the initial setup, I mean. So let's get started on it, and I'll show you the first part, which is the structure overhead. Okay, you can see I've got one A-frame here. I guess you call it an A-frame. And all I did was there's 2 of these that were on 3 different spots on each 6-foot section, or 16-foot section of cattle panel. And I have 4 cattle panels. But anyway, this one is going to have 5 of these A-frames. And what I did was I took one of these from there. This is the other one. And I just cut it in half. And you can bend it by hand. I put a little bit of an angle there, so you can see right here where I connected it to a 10-foot piece of EMT, that I bent it a little bit outwards again here, and I secured it with heavy-duty clips here, heavy-duty zip ties, and I did it on both sides. And then one 10-foot piece of EMT covers the distance between half of one of these, so it works out perfectly. I've got all 5 A-frames up now, and the next thing I need to do is protect, because the plastic's going to come down this way, and you can see this is, with the wind, this is going to punch right through. I've got the protectors up, just something flat here that plastic can rest against. It won't poke it through. Zip tied on. I've got 4 on this side and 4 on the others. So the same guy I got the IBC tote from, that I'm using to fertilize the gardens, figs, and the vegetable gardens. I've also made a trip back to him. He also had these 55-gallon drums, and these are going to be my heat sinks. So right now I've got the 14 barrels, cost me $280, 14 barrels pre-positioned along the sides and 2 on each end. These are going to be filled with water, and during the day they'll be exposed to the sun, even on a cloudy day, and they will heat these up. At nighttime, these barrels full of water, I think it's about 700 gallons, maybe a little more, they'll be here, will release the heat into the cold as it attempts to mediate temperature, and that will help create some warmth inside this closed greenhouse area. Also, the pots will also be carrying some heat that'll have to release the heat, and the floor is a dark fabric, so the ground is going to be heated some as well. Each one of these rows here has 4 16-foot panels. From here down there's 3 more, and I'm going to take all those containers on those 3 and I'm going to put them here. First row is going to be in between here, the next row is in between each one of those, and so there'll be 4 a little staggered here, and it should leave me enough room to walk through here and water it, even fertilize it. I'm not trying to keep the temperature in this area to growing levels like I would my grow room over there, where I actually grow in the winter time. All I'm trying to do is keep the temperature to about 20 to 25 degrees, maybe 10 or 15 degrees warmer than it normally would be. And I'll put a little ceramic heater in here too to help with that. But all I'm trying to do is keep them dormant and alive, and that includes all of the varieties that are not that cold tolerant. So what I'm hoping I can do is grow in this area, move them down for the winter, keep them alive, and then I can remove the shade cloth early spring and start to warm them up and get a head start on the season too. So all of this is hopefully lessons that I learned from last year, and it's unproven theory this year, but I'm gonna give it a go and we'll see what happens. All right, all 14 barrels are positioned, and they all have at least a third full of water, so that it'll weigh down the plastic, but not full, so it's too difficult to work with. I put some shade cloths here to block the side part of the shade. I'm going to have shade cloth over the plastic when it's done, and I've got the clips and the other clips, I guess, pre-positioned and ready. I want to get the plastic on, then I'll put the anti-billow straps on. I've got the plastic up, and I've got the clips on both ends just to kind of hold it in place. And now I need to cut a door, if you will, from the center. This is a thermostat. It's got 3 sensors. The top one is outside in the grow room. This one here is the Lazy Garden greenhouse I just put up. It's only got one end closed right now, and you can see how much it's raised over the regular temperature, which is the 3rd. And that's on my deck. So it's right under 80 degrees, and yet we're almost 20 degrees hotter with only one end of the greenhouse open. So let's go take a look at that greenhouse and see what I ended up doing with it. We've got some heavy rains coming in this afternoon from somewhere around 3 to 4 p.m. Pretty significant, with some somewhat high winds. And I wanted to show you this side first. This is the open end, and I cut it down the middle, and I put some tape across the top to keep it from ripping further. But I just take those little clips and I pull them over to the side, and I just kind of clip them onto the bars. And with both ends open, it's a little bit warmer than it is out here. I'd say 10 degrees maybe a little less. But with the closed area here, well, before I get to that, let me show you here. I was initially going to tuck the plastic underneath the barrels, but that ended up being a challenge. So I thought that I would use a dual purpose cinder block and weigh the edges down. So I've got 3 on each end, and I'll have 2 that are on top of each other to keep the flaps from opening, and I'll show you that in a second. But I also secured the anti-billow straps. These were the same ones I used on the greenhouse before. I've got a video on that showing shade cloth, And you need some kind of anti-billowing because the wind will catch it. It'll absolutely do some severe damage. Okay, here on the end, let me get it a little bit further out so you can get a view of it. You can see that I took the clips that were on the outside there and I used them. I folded the center together and I just clipped them together, and I put 2 cinder blocks right at the opening, which is the weak part. Now if some wind comes in and blows up underneath it, that's fine, but the most part it's going to be down on the ground, fairly sealed. And I will clean up the plastic a little bit by cutting it more to shape, and I'm also going to mark the plastic so I can take it off and reinstall it the following year if it works out well for me. So that's how I secure the ends, and with that rain coming, I'll do the other end. I'm going to open this and then I'll do the other end. I'll do both ends again before it starts raining heavily. But for now, it's just going to get so hot in there. If I sealed it up, it'll get well over 100 degrees easy. It'll get 120 probably if I sealed up both ends right now. So that's the plan with it so far. The only thing different I'm going to do is I'm going to put a shade cloth over it and reaffix the billow straps. So I'll secure the shade cloth down to the cinder blocks and the billow straps over the shade cloth as well. Because you see the shade fabric I put in there, it's going to come over the edge, and all that's going to do is just keep the sun from heating the dickens out of it and warming it up too much for the figs during the winter time, because I want them to be cold but I don't want them to freeze. And now they're both open again with the clips holding them. Clamps is what they actually are. I keep saying clips, but clamps holding them open. And you got total breeze coming through here now. And let's go see what the temperature is on the little meter now that we've opened the ends. And this is what we have now. Again, the top one is outside in the grow room. The middle one is the sensor that's inside that greenhouse, and the third one is underneath the deck there. So it's with the doors open, it cools off pretty good.